Hi guys, welcome to Short Skirts and Sarcasm. I'm Caroline and today I have a book haul, but it's slightly different from other book hauls. This is a vintage book haul. So I did get these at a clearance sale from a secondhand bookstore in Charing Cross, and I went with my friend who absolutely enabled me to buy a bunch of books, but they were also £1 each. So who could blame me? So I bought 7 books. Altogether, it was £7. Which I think is a really good deal considering that some of these are absolutely gorgeous and vintage editions. And so I'm going to start with this first one, which is a little different to the rest of them because it is nonfiction. It's a history book, The Last Tudor Princess by Alison Weir. And I have been wanting to read Alison Weir books for a really long time. I know she's done a great job with a biography of Eleanor of Aquitaine, and that's sort of like the top of my list for Alison Weir books. They didn't have that book, but they did have this, which is about sort of a person that I don't really know that much about, and that is Lady Margaret I'm gonna guess Douglas, but there's a sticker on it. I was correct, yes, The Life of Lady Margaret Douglas. And I will say that for like dynastic powers of the British royal family, the Tudors are not high on my list. I'm more of a Plantagenets girl and a Hanover girl, but this one did actually sound really interesting. She's lesser known, but her life was steeped in intrigue, drama, and tragedy from her auspicious birth in 1515 to her parents' bitter divorce, from her ill-fated love affairs to her appointment as lady-in-waiting for 4 of Henry's 6 wives. In an age when women were expected to stay out of the political arena, alluring and tempestuous Margaret helped orchestrate one of the most notorious marriages of the 16th century, that of her son Lord Darnley to Mary, Queen of Scots. Margaret defiantly warred with 2 queens, Mary and Elizabeth of England, and was instrumental in securing the Stuart ascension to the throne of England for her grandson, James VI. So I am pretty pumped for this, and I had really good timing with this because the wonderful podcast Noble Blood just came out with a episode specifically about Mary, Queen of Scots, and so it of course talks about her marriage to Lord Darnley and how they were both grandchildren of another Tudor, someone who I think was also named Margaret, who was this Margaret's mom. So I'm so excited for this one. And it's pretty big, and I have a lot of things on my like priority reading list, but I am really hoping that I can get to this pretty soon on my like nonfiction reads. So into the more vintagey books, I got Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope, and it is a really cute vintage edition. It has like an embossed front, and it's very, very similar to a lot of the other books I discussed in my classics collection video, and so it fits on the shelf with all the little ones, and it looks really nice. And it of course is a classic novel. I think Anthony Trollope is better known for, I think it's Vanity Fair, and this one is also illustrated. So I mean, this is just clearly a very special book, and so I am hoping to read this, but of course I will have to read this slowly and just in my home. I will not be taking this anywhere because it is quite old and a little bit fragile. It does not have a copyright page, so I can't tell you when this book was printed, but I think it's pretty clear that it is aged. Then I got a poetry book, The Poetical Works of Robert Browning, and it is another beautiful edition. It has gold lettering and an embossed back, and I don't think this one is illustrated. Well, it's got a picture of Robert Browning, so that is cool. And I would say that Robert Browning is not one of my favorite poets. I haven't really read much by him. But 1, it's a beautiful edition, and 2, it's never too late to expand your poetic palette. So this did used to have an inscription dated 1920, but it's been scratched out. Not by me, someone else did this, and I'm salty about it. But as you can see, it does say 1920 right there. Then I've got 2 books by Lawrence Durrell, and that is Justine. See, the title is very worn off. and bitter lemons. And of course it has a lemon on the back, but it's also a bit hard to read. And Lawrence Durrell, you probably know from either the book or movie My Family and Other Animals, or the TV show The Durrells, which is about a family who in the 1930s, they're destitute because the father of the family dies. They move to Corfu to try to live more cheaply, and is very funny and heartwarming. So I do have Gerald Durrell, who is the youngest of these kids. He wrote the book My Family and Other Animals and 2 other books that are known as the Corfu Trilogy, and I do have those all in a bind up that I bought for £3 with the same friend that I got these with. She is a book buying enabler, I will say. And so she, of course, also enabled me to buy these beautiful books by Gerald Durrell's older brother, Lawrence Durrell, who is like the writer guy, I mean, clearly. So I actually don't know what either of these is about, but when I bought the My Family and Other Animals bind up, the bookseller there told me that Lawrence Durrell's books were great and I should also read them. So blame my friend Imogen and blame that guy. It's all their fault. Then I got The Vicar of Wakefield, which is a classic book by Oliver Goldsmith, and it is also illustrated by Margaret, Weatherby, but it's spelled differently than I'm used to. And so the inside is also beautiful. Of course, someone wrote on it. We can be salty about that later. And the illustrations are beautiful. And this is a Folio Society book. So it's a really beautiful special edition. None of these old pages have a copyright page, which absolutely annoys me so much, especially when I read old books that I have to then cite. There's no copyright page. They're so difficult to cite. And the hardback design is also really beautiful. So I have no regrets. And the last book in this pile is also a Folio Society, and it is Memoirs of the Public and Private Life of Queen Caroline. It's not me, it's a different queen. But it's also a Folio Society book, and it's also really beautiful, and of course comes in this protective sleeve. It has beautiful end papers, and of course an illustration of Queen Caroline herself. Edited and introduced by Christopher Hibbert. I know him from something, but now I can't remember. So this copyright of the Folio Society version of this book is 1978. So it seems a bit younger than some of the rest of the books in this. And what I know about Queen Caroline herself is that she had a trial, which wasn't a real trial, but it was essentially she went to Parliament and they were mad at her, but it wasn't like an actual trial. We have a nice picture of the Prince Regent. So I will be reading this as well. It looks really interesting. And like I said, I am a Hanover Dynasty fan. And Caroline was married to a Hanover. So right up my street. And of course she is named Caroline, which makes me like her implicitly. So that's the end of my vintage book haul. Remember that it's all Imogen's fault. So please remember to subscribe and like this video and follow me on social media. All my links will be in the description box, and we'll see you next time. Bye guys.